Good morning. I'm Attorney Karen Jimeno. An ally of former President Duterte will give his pointed insights on the election outcome, the incoming impeachment trial of the Vice President, and a few more of this week's hot topics, here at the forefront. Former Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Attorney Salvador Panelo weighs in on post-election political shifts, President Marcos's surprise reconciliation offer to the Dutertes, and the looming impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte. He will also offer his take on the legal troubles of former presidential spokesperson Attorney Harry Roque, whom he says should return to the country and face charges. Could these unfolding events signal a deeper political realignment and a reckoning in the former Marcos Duterte alliance? We have with us this morning former Chief Presidential Legal Counsel, Attorney Salvador Panelo. Good morning, Attorney Sal.
Good morning, Karen. I noticed we are both wearing the controversial color.
Controversial color ba? Billionaire color is yellow. Oo, so you came in for the billionaire.
Ito naman prosperity gold.
Gold pala, yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the recent elections. Three PDP Laban candidates ranked very highly. You have Go number 1, Bato de la Rosa number 3, Marcoleta number 6. But they left out 7 out of the Dutertens. Who do you think among the Dutertens should have made it?
I think those who made it should really have made it.
Pero yung iba ba, palagi mo, may pag-asa pang makapasok dapat?
Wala. Kasi ever since, sinasabi ko na yun na ang election, the election in this country will always depend on 3 things: name recall, face recall, campaign funds, and organization. And the rest of the PDP, other than those 3 who won, talagang wala. Except for the other one, because I think it's the Iglesia ni Cristo votes.
Si Marcoleta.
Yes, kaya nanalo siya. But ever since sinasabi ko na itong mga botante ngayon will repudiate this administration. And in fact, this is a total repudiation, rejection of the Marcos administration's policy of persecution and retribution against the Dutertes. If you notice...
You mean the results of this election as a repudiation? But there were 5 Alianza candidates that made it.
Even then, but if you look at the surveys, they were on the top. Pero bumagsak din sila eh. Nawala sila sa ranking eh. Nandun sila sa baba. And that shows to you na talagang ayaw ng tao. And sa tingin ko, si Bam Aquino at si Pangilinan, kaya nakapasok yan because of the Gen Z and the millennial voters. Because these are the people who are educated. In other words, they are knowledgeable and aware of what is happening in this country. Ayaw nila yung alyansa because nga ang failure ng administration. Yun namang kaliwa, ayaw din nila. Then punta sila sa PDP Laban, 3 lang o 2 lang ang gusto nila doon. The rest, hindi nila type for whatever reason. Ako rin ganun. Kaya
so
sa tingin
ikaw personally, meron bang mga PDP na hindi ka binoto?
Hindi. Personally, ako, ever since, from the very start, sinasabi ko, hindi ako Duterte, ako Duterte 5.
Meron kang
Meron
hindi.
talagang, kasi each one of us has panukatan na tinatawag. We measure candidates on the basis of their record, credibility, reputasyon nila. May mga hindi nakapasa sa akin because I know them personally. I know them. Ganon din si Inday Sara. Iba rin ang kanyang idinagdag, di ba? Iba rin si Presidente Duterte. But the point is, pag in-endorse, it doesn't mean na butuhan mo. Kaya nga tayo merong brains to use it. Ang ginawa nitong dalawang Gen Z saka millennials. Since hindi nila gusto yung 3 sides, hinanap nila yung hindi corrupt. In fairness to the 2, wala naman silang record ng corruption. Si Bam saka si Pangilinan. The only pwedeng masasabi mong fault nila is they present themselves as the only righteous people in the world among the political landscape. Kung baga, masyado silang parang bigot na ang dating nila. Pero as between them and mga tiwali, na alam nating hindi na dapat talaga lala, yung mga edukadong butanteng bata, nilagay sila. Kaya sila nanalo.
Well, the Duterte brand is very strong in Mindanao and the Visayas, but you have victories of Bam Aquino and Kiko Pangilinan in those regions as well. And in fact, they also ranked highly in some of the areas in Visayas and Mindanao. But these are areas where they were once demonized by Duterte supporters. So what do you think accounted for those victories?
Yung pa rin, kasi the Gen Z and the millennials constitute 56% of the voting population. Napakalaki nun. More than half yun eh. Plus, at the same time, alam mo, yung Duterte country, talagang maraming blindly, I'm sorry to say, talagang bumoto dun sa 10. Kaya ang taas nila dun sa mga Duterte country. Pero pagdating dun sa iba, na maraming mga grupo ng mga bata na edukado, hindi nakapasa yung marami sa kanila.
Dun sa among the Duterte.
Yeah.
But if you look at the endorsements that you mentioned, na magkaiba yung in-endorse ni former President Duterte, he endorsed to add to the Duterte, former Senator Gringo Honasan and Colonel Ariel Querubin. Whereas si Vice President Sara Duterte endorsed to add is Senator Amy Marcos and Camille Villar.
Ako rin, iba. Dinagdag ko rin si Camille Villar at saka si Willie Revillame.
Iba. Not Senator Amy Marcos.
Ay, hindi. Napakabalat kayo naman noon. Kahit na in-endorse ni Inday Sara, I'll never vote for her. Kasi namangka siya sa dalawang ilog eh. Hindi ba kinakantahan ko nga siya ng balat kayo?
But it's the same criticism that some people in social media were throwing against the Villars na namamangka sa dalawang ilog because they had already accepted to be an Alianza candidate. And then biglang kinuha yung endorsement when the survey started to show that the approval rating of Vice President Sara was higher than PBBM.
But in fairness to Camille Villar, wala naman siyang ginawa na namamangka sa dalawang ilog eh. Unlike Amy, talagang kitang-kita mo na while sinasabi niyang hindi siya kontra siya sa administrasyon, pero hindi ba nagkakandara pa siyang itaas ang kamay niya ng kapatid niya? Tanda mo yung sa stage doon, ay hindi nga siya, kumaga in-ignore siya ng kapatid niya. And then, when she realized that she was really dropping sa survey, nag-launch siya ng Senate investigation just to get the votes. Marami nga siya na bola doon eh. Pero tingnan mo, cliffhanger siya eh. Kasi kung na-maintain niya lang yung Inday Sara from the very beginning, nasa top 3-5 niya. Bumagsak din siya.
So would you say that the win of Senator Amy Marcos and Congresswoman, well now Senator Camille Villar, was a Duterte-endorsed victory?
I think so, yes. Kasi kung, hindi, yung kay Camille Villar, duda ako doon. Kasi unang-una ang mga Villar, maganda ang record eh. Yung kapatid niya, yung ama niya, yung ina niya, wala namang masasabi mong mga corrupt, unlike yung others. Kaya si Camille, saka maganda ang dating niya rin sa tao eh. Kaya sa tingin ko, kahit na hindi in-endorse yun, plus, she has the name recall, the face recall, the campaign funds, and the organization, mananalo yun. Kaya kita mo ang ano niya, ang ranking niya, mataas ah.
Number 10.
Oh,
yes,
number 10. Yeah. Yung 11, 12 ang medyo delikado. Malayo din ang boto niya.
But Bong Revilla, who was doing very well in the surveys, suddenly dropped out of the Magic 12. Do you think that's because of his affiliation with Alianza and not getting any endorsement from the Duterte?
It's because he kept quiet on the arrest, illegal detention, and the surrender of the former president. Tumahimik siya eh. It's supposed to be Duterte yan. Tumahimik siya. Kaya pinarusahan siya. Pareho rin ni Tolentino, bumaliktad. Earlier on pa yon. O hindi ba, lahat ng mga bumanat kay Presidente Duterte, one way or the other, in so many ways, talagang bumagsak sila. Look at the Quadcom. Yung mga lantad doon, si Abante, saka si Dan Fernandez. Pati nga nagulat nga ako si Ms. Cayon, I didn't even know na bumaliktad na pala siya kasi tinulungan namin ng gusto ito eh. Kaya natatalo niya yung kalaban niya last election.
You're talking about Mitch Cahayon of Caloocan.
Nagulat ako, nag-antay-Duterte na pala yun. Kaya bumagsak siya. Pati nga si Gwen Garcia, that was a surprise kasi ever since Duterte yan. Kaya lang, nung luminya siyang anti and pro, ayun, Yan ang resulta.
So what is your evaluation of the Duterte brand in this 2025 midterm election result?
It's not the brand. It's the legacy that they have given to the Filipino people. Kaya gusto sila ng tao. At nung inapi mo sila, ay babalikan kanila through the ballots. Mabuti nga through the ballots, hindi not through people power. Dahil kung people power, delikado pa, baka magkaroon pa ng violence.
What about Senator Gringo Honasan and Colonel Ariel Querubin? If they were part of the Duterte from the start, do you think may pag-asa sila sana makapasok sa Magic 12?
Hindi rin.
Because I was talking to a political strategist, sabi nila na yung ibang part ng Duterte, mahirap talagang ipasok dun sa 12 because they started from 0% awareness, like sila Hinlo, sila Dr. Mata. So kung meron kayong candidates na mayroong name recall, like Senator Gringo Honasan and Colonel Ariel Querubin, palagay mo may pag-asa pang madagdagan yung nasa top 12?
I don't think so. Kasi si Querubin, hindi naman ganun kakilala nationally. Hindi siya ganun.
What about kung si Dr. Willie Ong?
Pero ang problema kay Willie Ong, may sakit siya. Kaya hindi na
Kung
siya
hindi-
bubutuhan.
kung hindi
Kahit
siya
mo nilagay
nagkasakit,
dyan,
you think?
hindi talaga. Yung kay Unasa naman, parang naging pasay na siya. Kasi nung last election, tumakbo rin siya. Kumbaga, tapos na yung kanyang panahon.
VP Sara personally campaigned in Manila. Ito naman yung sa local. And she personally campaigned against Joel Chua, Roland Valeriano, and Congressman Benny Abante. So 3 congressmen. But Benny Abante didn't make it. Parang nakalusot pa rin si Congressman Joel Chua and Congressman Roland Valeriano. What's your take on that?
Ewan ko yung doon sa Joel Chua. Gaya na sinabi ko, alam mo, pag marami kang pera, malaking factor yun sa pagpapanalo. Sinasabi nila, maraming pera, maraming ayuda. Kaya siguro, gano'n.
So hindi ka naniniwala na this is all about just the endorsement power of the Dutertes, for example, at maraming iba pang factors at play?
Oh yes, of course. Yung endorsement is at play at may mga nakinabang doon. Meron din naman yung mga gaya ng mga millennials and Gen Z, mga edukado sila. Habang totoo na in-endorse, it doesn't mean na kahit na idol ka namin, we will follow you. Kasi we have to consider yung qualification mo. Pag hindi nakapasa, hindi ka bubutuhan. Tsaka, alam mo, sinasabi nilang ang daming black voting. I agree. Pero marami rin nang hindi nag-black voting. Pinili lang. Kaya yung...
Sino yan?
Yung
mga
si
groups
Bato
na
sa
yan?
kasi,
Yeah.
kaya palagi nasa taas kasi palagi silang kasama. Yung nag-black voting, mahahalata mo yung talagang Duterte country, nag-black voting. Kasi
But you know, in Davao, considering that people call it Duterte country, Senator Amy Marcos, who was also endorsed by Vice President Sara, didn't rank highly in the top 12 for senatorials.
kasi nga balat kayo siya.
So you think walang tiwala yung mga...
Ay, walang talaga namang wala.
Mga
Napakalaw
Davaoenyo or-
napakalaw na kung hindi siya in-endorse ni Inday, saka in-adapt ng PDP laban sa last day, the day before election, hindi mananalo yun. Tuloy-tuloy na yun.
Were you part of that conversation, yung decision to officially endorse Amy Marcos and
No.
Camille Villar? Hindi.
I never participated in the PDP laban activities.
Congressman Toby Tiangco recently said that as campaign manager of Alianza, he disclosed that PBBM did not really push for the impeachment of Vice President Sara, and he said that there was no clamor from Congress to impeach the Vice President, but that this whole impeachment really was all about the budget, yung pag-release ng conditional funds, yung mga hindi ma-release pa. And then later on, Congressman Toby also said that Sandro Marcos was also forced to sign the impeachment.
Because?
I
Did
don't
he
know.
explain?
But what do you make of this na mukhang hindi, or there's someone else calling the shots if hindi may blessing ng presidente yung impeachment? I mean, I know as lawyers, dapat independent tong dalawang process na to. The impeachment should be completely independent from the executive branch. But we know that in the Philippines, that's not the case. So, nakita rin natin yan doon sa corona impeachment na hindi naman yan independently. But what's going on behind the scenes, do you think?
Ang tingin ko, yung si Toby Chanko, we're friends, but alam mo, ang ginagawa niya, nililihis niya the real reason behind the fall of the Alianza in the Marcos administration. Itinatapon niya sa House of Representatives sa kay Martin. Ang katotohanan, talagang the reason behind the fall is because the failure of the Marcos administration, and more importantly, what it did to the Dutertes. Yan ang reason dyan. Partly true, kasi inumpisa nila yan sa impeachments and confidential funds, di ba? Tapos nagpunta kay Duterte, nagpunta kay Kibuloy, nagpunta sa SMNI, bumalik kay Sara, balik na naman kay Duterte. Yun ang pinalalabas. But actually, ang intention doon, lalo pa sinasabi niya na open siya maging speaker, merong infighting na sa loob. At the same time, inililihis niya, kumbaga, hindi niya binibigyan ng malaking bahagi yung failure ng Presidente Marcos. Itinatapon niya sa iba.
So you think that in terms of the impeachment, it's really someone, you mean, merong blessing yan ng Presidente pero linilihis ni Congressman Toby yung issue?
Definitely. You know, there is only one president na hindi nakialam sa Congress, si Duterte yun. You remember, pagdating niya sa Sonan, hindi niya alam iba na speaker. Napalitan na. Kasi hindi nga siya nakikialam. The only time na medyo nakialam, you can call it that way, nung humingi sila sa kanya, napakialaman mo naman kami kasi hindi kami nagkakasundo. Remember yung tatlo? That's the only time. Pero yung kanya, suggestion lang. Gusto niyo mag-power sharing kayo. Pero hindi nakikialam. But the reality sa Pilipinas, kung anong gusto ng Presidente, yun ang mangyayari sa Kongreso.
But when you say na hindi nakikialam si former President Duterte, yung pagpapasara, for example, sa ABS-CBN, wala ba siyang involvement doon?
Hindi nakialam yun, di ba? Wala siya doon. Sa Kongreso kasi talaga namang merong violation. May violation talaga nun. At nakita naman yun sa Kongreso.
Well, there are some political analysts that were also saying that the results of the midterm election was because of sympathy votes after former President Duterte was arrested and brought to The Hague. What's your take on that? Kasi back in 2010, when President Aquino became president, former PGMA, former President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo was also arrested and then put on hospital arrest eventually. Pero wala naman nagkaroon ng sympathy votes noong 2013 midterm election. What's your analysis of these
kasi
scenarios?
nung panahon ni Presidente Arroyo, rightly or wrongly, ang reputasyon niya hindi maganda. She was perceived to be a failure president. Maraming issue sa kanya. Corruption, kung ano-ano pa. Itong presidente, wala eh. Walang issue on corruption ito eh. Maliban doon sa mga kasinungalingan ni Trillanes. Pero other than that, lahat ng achievements yata ng isang presidente napunta na sa kanya. In fact, na-recognize nga ni Presidente Arroyo, saka ni Presidente Ramos, talagang magaling na presidente.
Well, speaking of former President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo, she's been quiet in the 2025 election. Where does she stand in all of this?
Tanungin kaya natin, kasi yan din ang tinatanong ko sa programa ko, Ma'am, bakit tahimik na kayo? I'm still waiting for an answer.
So wala bang nakakausap sa kanya? Because she's still in politics. She's active. She ran again in Pampanga and won. Pero wala bang...
wala eh.
She hasn't taken a stand.
Basta tumahimik siya. Ma'am, bakit ba kayo tumatahimik?
So ipabalik mo yung tanong sa kanya. Interestingly enough, a lot of people were surprised when President Bongbong Marcos spoke out publicly and said he wants to reconcile with the Dutertes. One, what's your take on that?
Well, as early as second week of April, a mutual friend has already approached me on that because he was apprehensive on the outcome of this administration dahil nga sa backlash na tinatanggap nito from the people. Sabi niya, pwede ba nating i-reconcile yung dalawa? Sabi ko, pwede. Ang gawin ninyo, sabihin mo sa kanya, ibalik na muna si Presidente Duterte. That will start the reconciliation.
So April pa to, bago mag-election.
Second week of April, nag-usap na kami ng mutual friend.
Yung mutual friend, did he approach you on behalf of President
Hindi.
Bongbong Marcos?
In the course of our conversation, kasi parang tinanong ko siya, alam mo ba ako ni Bongit ito? Yung pag-aaresto, kasi tinatanggi niya eh. Pero sinasabi ng cabinet member niya, ang sabi niya sa akin, Sal, maniwala kahit hindi, hindi alam ni Bongit. Eh, sino ka ako nagpakulo niyan? Hindi ko masasabi. Alam ko na kung sino.
And you're talking about President
Tapos,
Bongbong Marcos.
yes.
A lot of people don't know na ang
Bongit,
nickname niya,
Bongit is, yes, Bongit.
mga kakilala sa kanya is Bongit. Yeah.
Sabi niya, maniwala ka't hindi, wala siyang alam. Yan ang sabi niya. Hindi niya naman masabi kung sino, ba't ako alam ko na. Kasi kung hindi siya, tatlo lang naman sila eh. Ngayon, ang sabi niya, worried nga ako, pwede pa nating i-reconcile ang dalawa. Sabi ko, pwede yan. Alam mo, hindi mahirap gawin yan. Kasi si Presidente Marcos Jr., ang posisyon niya, walang jurisdiction. He can use that. Walang jurisdiction, magiging consistent siya. Sabihin niya lang na the people down, yung mga bata niya, nagkamali. At iba rin ang advice sa kanya. Kaya akala niya totoo. Now, he realizes na mali. Kaya kailangan ibalik dito si Presidente Marcos. Pag ginawa niya yan, kakaroon tayo ng reconciliation. Dahil kung ako ang Duterte, yun ang i-demand ko. If I were the former president, reconciliation, ibalik mo muna ako. Kung ako ang anak, yun din ang iisipin ko. Kung ako, ewan ko sa kanila.
But would you know if yung message mo nakarating kay President Bongbong Marcos?
Ewan ko. I've been saying that publicly.
Yeah.
Siguro
So
naman
yes,
nagmo-monitor
and
sila.
even yesterday, you said that the Duterte family is open to a reconciliation
I didn't
under
say
certain
that. I said if
conditions.
I were the Dutertes,
So hindi yan, it's not a message from the Duterte family.
hindi, wala silang sinasabi sa akin.
I think kasi nabasa ko sa news when I was watching, it said Duterte family open to a reconciliation according
Kung
to
ako,
attorney. So you're not speaking on
kung
behalf
ako si
of the
Duterte family.
Oo.
Kasi yun, bakit naman hindi magiging open? Yun ang dahilan kung bakit nagkagulo tayo eh. When you persecute the Duterte family, specifically the two, that started it. Yung program of retribution nila, paghihiganti nila, pagpaparusa nila. Kasi the Filipino people stands firmly with President Duterte on his legacies and mandate. Hindi mo mawawala na sa kanya yan eh. Pinakita niya eh. Pagdating sa kriminalidad, terorismo, drug, infrastructure, lahat. OFW, pag-control sa pandemic, economy, puro maganda yung ginawa ni Duterte. Yun ang hinahanap ng taong bayan.
With the new composition of the Senate, do you think Vice President Sara has the numbers for a possible acquittal? But before you answer that question, we'll have to take a short break. At the Forefront, we'll be right back. Welcome back at the Forefront. Attorney Sal, with the new composition of Senate, do you think Vice President Sara has the numbers for a possible acquittal?
As early as of last year, in my shows and in all my interviews, I said then, and I'm saying it again, that regardless of the outcome of the elections, impeachment will never flourish as against Inday Sara. Initially, number one, may problema sila dun sa, there is a pending case before the Supreme Court. Kasi ilan bang impeachment complaints ang final? 5 ba o 4?
4. Yung pang-apat yung
Yung
inaksyonan
pang-apat
ng
yung
Congress.
in-accept.
Yes.
Kasi kinulate nila yung 3. Pero you know that under the Constitution, isa lang ang pupwede.
Yeah.
Dapat
And
yung
there's a
unang-una.
one-year bar rule.
Correct.
Na from the time that you filed the first one.
Kaya dapat yung una ang nirepair mo sa Senado, ang nirepair mo yung pang-4. So may problema ka na doon. Pangalawa, as I've said, unlike the Senate, the House of Reps is not a continuing body. Baka magka-problema ka na naman doon. Na iba ng Kongreso ito. Kaya dapat hindi na po pwede. Kaya nga, alam mo, my son, Paulo, nagbigay ng suggestion kay BP Sara na lahat ng mga abogado ni BP Sara was in agreement Sabi niya, ba't di na lang tayo mag-truce? Truce in the sense na yung mga senador, they can decide among themselves to dismiss the complaint. On legal grounds.
Yeah,
Yung
on
sinabi-
on procedural grounds because of the
Yung
the
sinabi
four
natin kanina,
complaints, yeah.
yung dalawang yon. At the same time, ang third reason bakit gugustuhin nila, one, they will not risk their political careers in 2028 kasi labing-dalawa sa kanila ang magre-re-election. They will not vote on the basis of what they call loyalty to the administration. Kasi nakita na nila ang resulta eh. Yung mga kumontra kay Duterte, nagbagsakan lahat. They will not risk that. Kaya gusto nila yon. Huwag na lang natin ituloy. At the same time, kung totoo yung sinasabi ni Presidente Duterte na ayaw niya na impeachment, papayag din siya. Pero ayaw ni Inday eh. Kaya kinikriticize sabi niya, I don't want truce. I want bloodbath.
Bakit nga sinabi ni Vice President Sara yun? Tsaka what does she mean by bloodbath?
Hyperbole lang yon. Ang ibig niya sabihin, you accuse me of violating the Constitution. Illegal. Siniraan niyo na ako ng siniraan. Pinail niya ako ng impeachment. O sige, di tuloy niyo, haharapin ko kayo dahil ako may ebidensya na magpapatunay na ako inosente. Kaya laban tayo. Para magkaalaman tayo. Yun lang naman ang ibig sabihin niya. She's ready. At from the very start naman, di ba sinasabi niya na ready ako dyan sa impeachment.
So do you think that yung, let's say, this offer of reconciliation from the President will have no bearing on the impeachment? Si Senator J.V. Ejercito recently said that kahit magkaroon ng reconciliation, hindi pa rin titigil yung impeachment trial.
Hindi titigil, pero ako sasabihin ko na, it will not flourish as against Inday Sara. Mananalo si Inday Sara dyan kahit ano pang sabihin nyo. Kasi nagsalita ng taong bayan. The people is against the impeachment. No senator, except siguro yung mga panatiko, baka yung mga kaliwa o yung dilaw, one or two, ang boboto against Inday Sara. The rest, maniwala ka sa akin.
Well, with the addition of Attorney Chel Diokno and former Senator Laila De Lima, now Congresswoman Laila De Lima, with their addition to the prosecution team, si Attorney Chel Diokno is a seasoned litigator, si Attorney Laila De Lima is a former DOJ secretary. Palagay mo ba mahihirapan yung defense with the addition of these two people?
Natatawa lang ako kasi unang-una, yung prosecution team before the entry of the two, mga walang practice. Mga
Oo nga,
kongresista.
yes. Yeah. You know, that's what I noticed also. Marami doon, walang litigation practice. So, dati naisip ko, mahihirapan sila pagka nagka-impeachment trial. But with the addition of these two, Attorney Chel and Congresswoman Laila, it worked in favor of the prosecution.
Ito namang isa, na dating senadora, ang practice nito, limited sa election. Napakadali ng election cases eh. Yung isa naman, na sinasama ng litigator, mukhang ang record niya rin as a litigator, hindi naman ganun katindi. Samantalang itong mga abogado ni Inday Sara, ang babata, araw-araw kinakain nila nasa hukuman. Mga litigator talaga, kakainin sila nitong mga batang ito.
Ilan po ang nasa defense team ni Vice President?
Actually,
hindi mo pa alam.
Hindi ko alam.
Hindi mo pa madidisclose yung pangalan nila.
Narinig ko lang kung sino. Sabi ko mga litigator yan. Ako, lampaso yung mga yan. But,
are you able to disclose their names already?
No, hindi ko alam. But having said that, believe me, whether may evidence or not, the judgment will not be on the basis of evidence and facts. Huwag kang maniwala dyan sa sasabihin ng mga senador na boboto sila on the basis of evidence. Hindi. They will vote on the basis of their political future. Pag alam nila na babagsak sila sa susunod na eleksyon, hindi boboto against Inday Sara. Maniwala ka dyan. Yan talaga ang kultura ng Pilipinong politiko.
Well, do you think that this is the same analysis of President Bongbong Marcos and whoever is behind pushing for this impeachment from the start?
Sana ganun ang analysis niya para ibalik niya na si Presidente Duterte.
Well, speaking of President Duterte na na-explain mo kanina, it's possible. Meron na bang mga naging cases na nabawi sa Hague, yung someone who's been already taken into custody?
Yes, in fact, lumabas sa dyaryo ito. There is one case where the ICC requested the Italian government to arrest a foreign national, not an Italian, because he's charged with crimes against humanity. Inaresto nila. Inaresto. Dalawa kasi yung version. Yung isa, ibinalik. Pagkatapos, when they discovered na there was an irregularity in the arrest, ninalify nila.
Ang nag-nullify is
Yung
ICC.
Italian government.
Yung
Italian government.
Okay.
The first version is that pumunta sila sa Hague, eroplano nila, kinuha nila, binalik nila. Yung second version is, hindi nila binigay sa ICC kung hindi ibinalik sa foreign country of origin.
So dalawang magkaibang cases to? Dalawang individuals?
Hindi, dalawang version. Dalawang version, yung isa, isinuko, kinuha. Yung second version, the same accused. Binalik, but ang common denominator is, the reason for that is because they discovered na irregular. They violated the law, yung mga nag-aresto. Kaya nung tinanong nga ba, bakit, di ba nagreklamo ICC na bilak? Sabi niya, they're not gods. We are a sovereign country. We have our own laws. That's one. The second case is yung kay Trump. His policy is to expel mga illegally entered immigrants, di ba? In fact, one of them, tinapon nila sa El Salvador. But the lawyers of that El Salvador citizen filed a case in court, sa lower court. Nanalo sila. The government appealed to the U.S. government, to the U.S. Supreme Court. Ano sabi ng U.S. Supreme Court? You cannot do that. Tama yung judge sa baba. Kasi we have our immigration laws. Whether U.S. citizens yan or foreign national yan, you have to follow our laws. So, it ordered Trump administration facilitate the return. Madalit sabi, pwedeng i-compel ang gobyerno. And that has been my argument ever since. Remember yung habeas corpus na
so
pinail
which
ko?
is my next question. Ano na po ba ang status nung habeas corpus case that you filed and is still pending in the Supreme Court?
You know, when I learned that the petition for certiorari was to be filed, kinontra ko na kaagad yan. Sabi ko, mali yan. Hindi dapat certiorari pinail nyo. Walang mangyayari dyan. Dapat habeas corpus. Kaya nung dumating ako noon, nung ma-realize ko na ililipad nila, ginawa na nga namin ni Paolo yung petition for writ of habeas corpus.
Son, right? Yes. Who's also a lawyer.
But you know, halos lahat ng abogado, I think almost 99%, except the two of us, believe na wala nang jurisdiction yan. Kasi ililipad na o nakalipad na. Sabi niya, walang jurisdiction
so dapat hindi TRO.
Ang Supreme Court sa ICC. Ang argument ko naman, no, hindi pinag-uusapan ng ICC rito. The government committed this illegality, then the Supreme Court has jurisdiction over its act.
Yes.
And it can correct it. And it can compel this government to correct its error or illegality by bringing back the former president. Kaya pinail ko pa rin.
What is the status of that case? Meron na bang forthcoming decision ang Supreme Court?
The last pleading we filed is to set the case for oral arguments. So wala pa kaming balita. Ang huling balita namin, it might be set after the elections. So after the election na tayo. So we're waiting for any notice.
Are you coordinating with the legal team of former President Duterte for the ICC case? Because Attorney Kaufman and his team also filed an interim release. And I think they also, what they filed was to have the case dismissed on the grounds of lack of jurisdiction. So, yun, may possibility rin na umuwi si former President Duterte should the ICC decide that favorably.
You know, my position ever since was, hayaan ninyo kunin yung mga abogado doon. Let the foreign lawyers handle the case. Huwag na tayong makialam doon. Kung kailangan ng tulong ng Filipino lawyer, they can always consult. Pero hayaan mo sila ang mga magagaling doon. Sila nakakaintindi ng procedure doon. Sila ang marunong, may mga experience na yan. Ngayon, yung legal issue doon, iba naman sa legal issue dito. Alam mo, Karen, napaka-simple lang naman ang issue doon eh. Hindi mo kailangan na magaling na abogado. Kasi pinag-uusapan jurisdiction. Klarong-klarong walang jurisdiction. You look at the Rome Statute, wala silang jurisdiction. You look at our own constitution and laws, wala rin silang jurisdiction. So napakadali ng kaso actually.
Yes, but do you think that would drive the decision or politically, there's also an incentive for ICC to keep President Duterte's case alive. Because a lot of the other analysis that I've been reading, even from foreign media, is that they need this win, in a sense, because to show their relevance.
Correct. Yan ang problema. To justify their existence, kaya tinutuloy nila itong kaso kahit na walang jurisdiction. Kasi ang criticism sa kanila, which is very true, they're just going after yung mga heads of state na coming from the black race o kaya brown race. Never sila nag-prosecute na may puti. Di ba? O kaya yan ang problema. Ngayon may problema pa sila kasi yung si Karen Khan, special prosecutor, nag-step down pa.
Yeah, Karim Khan, yeah, for sexual misconduct
problema
case.
pa sila.
Yeah. So, Attorney Sal, I was able to interview Harry Roque at The Hague. And he said that among the cabinet members, siya daw yung nagsasabi from the start to take this ICC case seriously. At the time ba when you were in the cabinet, did you not take this risk seriously?
Hindi. Alam mo, iyan ang isa sa mga cabinet members so nagmi-meeting kami. Di ba? Minsan yata diniscuss ko na yan dito eh. Nung sumabog yung jurisdiction, ang teorya ni Presidente Duterte, to which I agree, to which the other lawyers, kasi 6 kaming abogado ron eh. Presidente, abogado. Executive Secretary, abogado.
Yeah, Medialdea is
Spokesman, abogado. Solgen, abogado. Tapos DOJ, abogado. Tapos ako, abogado rin. So, 6 kami.
Yeah.
Sabi ni Presidente Duterte, walang jurisdiction yan. Wala, hindi naman na-publish sa official gazette. So, unenforceable. Agree ako doon. Yung 4, sir, may treaty tayo eh. Kaya may jurisdiction. So, yung pinagpipilitan ng 4. Kasama siya doon. Nung tinignan ako ni Presidente Duterte, tinanong niya, anong tingin mo? Sabi ko, yun lang ba problema nyo na may jurisdiction? O di mag-withdraw tayo. Kaya alam mo, ginawa ko na mag-break. Ginawa ko kagad yung 5-page withdrawal eh. Nung binasa ni Presidente Duterte, okay to. O pirma mo na.
Pero yung that time, what was driving that withdrawal? Or
kasi nga, pinupolitika ng ng ICC.
So hindi, it's not because you were fearing for the president?
No, of course not. On legal grounds kasi talagang walang jurisdiction. Hindi ba, it's very clear under the Constitution. Kailangan may due process. And due process means you have to inform the accused of the nature of the crime and give him all the opportunity. And because of that, nagkaroon tayo ng batas na kailangan yung law that will deprive that accused of his life, liberty, or property. Kailangan malaman niya may batas.
Yeah.
Hindi nga na-publish eh. Kaya hindi ba
so from the start, the position to withdraw is not because you were fearing na magkakaroon ng kaso si President Duterte sa ICC.
No,
it's more because
not.
of the position na
because
it was never published in the first place, are joining the ICC. And so, it's violative of due process to enforce it.
Kasi di ba yung principle na ignorance of the law excuses no one, that applies only pag pinablish mo na. Kasi pag hindi mo pinablish, you can use that argument.
Kaninong kasalanan ba yung non-publication?
Sa Aquino administration, they forgot. Kasi tinanong ko agad si Presidente Duterte, sabi ko, Mr. President, yung tinignan mo sa National Library yan. Oo, tinignan ko na to. Wala. As in, wala. Kaya walang jurisdiction. Pero mapilit yung 4 na may jurisdiction. Kaya sabi ko, di mag-withdraw.
Well, mapunta naman po tayo kay Attorney Harry Roque. So, right now, the DOJ has already requested that a red notice from the Interpol be issued. What is your take on Attorney Harry Roque's application for an asylum in the Netherlands? This might take about a year to decide. Ano ba mangyayari dun sa red notice ng Interpol kung pending pa yung asylum application ni Attorney Roque?
Hindi ko alam kung anong gagawin ng Netherlands yan. Pero ang punto ko lang, kung nakademanda ka rito, harapin mo. Kasi rightly or wrongly, tama man o mali, pag hindi ka umuwi at nagtatago ka doon sa ibang bansa, ang perception ng tao, guilty ka. Yun ang magiging problema niya. Yung dahilan mo na kaya hindi ka umuwi dahil persecute ka, kaya ka nag-file sa Netherlands, bakit ka pinipersecute? Anong reason? Sabi niya, because I'm critical of the administration. Excuse me, mas critical pa ako sa iyo. At mas marami pa siguro mas critical sa akin. Pero hindi naman kami pinipersecute, nor dinidemanda kami. Kasi siguro, there is nothing that they can go against us legally. Kaya hindi kami dinidemanda. Ikaw siguro may nakita sa iyo na maling ginawa mo. Tanda mo, probable cause lang ang pwedeng kunin ng mga gusto magdemanda sa iyo para idemanda ka. Alam mo, I don't know if you were watching the congressional hearing.
Well, you've called...
Neta ko muna. Gusto ko sa congressional hearing nanonood ako, marami siyang contradictions noon. Kaya pala, in fact, yun nga ang sinasabi kaya nila dinimanda. Kasi like for instance, he disowns ownership of one property in Baguio. Pero yung kanyang mga narratives doon, all his acts were of ownership. So nag-contradict ka na. Sabi niya hindi siya abogado ng ganito. And yet, the documents show na abogado siya. Madali sabi, yun ang naging basis. Self-inflicted yung nangyari sa kanya.
You've publicly labeled or called Attorney Harry Roque as a POGO lawyer. Naniniwala ka bang may kinalaman talaga siya sa POGO?
Gaya na sinabi ko, he is a lawyer. He should know that if you are accused of any crime, the burden of proof lies on the one who accuses you, which is the government. So, bakit ka matatakot? You don't even have to prove that you are guilty or innocent. Presume innocent ka na nga. Kaya bumalik ka rito for your own good. Kasi you will be perceived rightly again or wrongly, tama man o mali. Pag ikaw ay tumakas at hindi ka umarap dito, lalong-lalo na, the reason why umalis ka, kasi meron kang citation ng contempt, ayaw mo pa-aresto eh. Yun lang eh. Plus yung bagong kaso, talagang titingnan ng tao na guilty ka.
But ikaw personally, wala po kayong evidence to say na link sa POGO or may kinalaman sa
Hindi, wala ako doon. Ang sinasabi ko lang, you cannot use persecution. Kasi inilalagay ko ang sarili ko. Kung critic ka, mas critic nga ako sa iyo eh. Kung baga, harapin mo na, magpakalalaki ka.
So, pagtawag niyo po sa kanya ng POGO lawyer, is it because
Hindi, ang sinasabi ko, I never said he's a POGO lawyer.
baka
I said,
yung pag-label lang sa news.
Correct. Ang sinasabi ko, kung hindi totoo na POGO lawyer ka, pero ang dokumento shows, disirain mo. Probable cause lang naman yan. Hindi naman proof beyond reasonable doubt yan.
Well, in the past, you've also referred to Attorney Harry Roque when his name is being mentioned. Ang sinasabi mo, who's he? And your personality, Attorney Sal, you're a strong defender of former President Duterte and his allies. Pero when it comes to Attorney Harry Roque, yun nga, nasabi mong who's he? And there's this question, kung meron ba kayong personal rift between the two of you?
Wala. Tingnan mo yung sinasabi mong, ano reputasyon ko?
You're a strong defender, yeah. You're loyal
I'm a strong defender of those in the right, but never in the wrong. At pinakita ko yan, tingnan mo, punta tayo, history. Hindi ba kasama ako ng Cory administration, pinabagsak namin ng Marcos administration? Anong ginawa ko? 6 months after, ako ang unang bumanat sa Cory administration kasi they were violating the rights of the Marcos loyalists. Until ako na naging spokesman, leader ng mga loyalista. Nag-rally kami niya sa Mindiola every day for 3 years hanggang makabalik si Imelda Marcos, naging abogado ko. Madalit sabi, kahit kalaban kita, kung mali yung ginawa sa'yo, pagtatanggol kita. O tingnan mo yung nangyari sa eleksyon. Sino mga binanatan ko? They are former cabinet members. Si Tolentino, kasama ko sa cabinet. Pero nung nag-trader siya, pinuna ko siya. Sino pa? Si Maynard Guevara. Maynard Guevara, kaibigan, cabinet member. Nung, di ba, sabi niya, walang jurisdiction. Sabi ko, you're not following your principle. If there is no jurisdiction, why are you keep on filing pleadings in the ICC because pinapakita mo may
So, but
jurisdiction.
basically, ganun ka po. Pag basta
Hindi,
kahit...
gusto ko lang malaman kasi yung mga ibang tao, kini-question nila yung para malaman lang nila. Kaya binanatan ko siya. And yet, when he recused himself, pinuri ko siya hanggang langit.
So,
Yan ang
issues-based
tama.
po kayo.
Oo. O sino pa? Marami.
Oo.
Si
But so
Marcos.
with
Tingnan mo si
yeah.
Marcos. Si Marcos, kung sinabi niya walang jurisdiction, ako, grabe ang puri ko. Pero nung nag-cooperate siya sa pag-arrest, binibira ko naman siya ng gusto.
Okay.
Si Benhar,
Kasi
malaman ng
paubos na
tao.
yung oras natin.
Hindi bale. Si Benhar Abalos,
Yeah.
very close sa akin yan. Tito Sal. Pero nung mali yung ginagawa niya sa cabinet, binanatan ko rin siya hanggang mas sumaloob sa akin.
So, kay Attorney Harry Roque, basically, nothing personal.
Nothing
talagang.
personal. Kaya ko siya binabanatan. Masyado siyang madaldal. Like for instance, nakialam siya sa West Philippine Sea. Wala naman, hindi naman siya miyembro ng kabinete noon. May mga sinasabi siya na ganito. Sabi ko, hindi mo alam yan, wala ka doon. Kaya ko siya pinupuna.
Yeah.
In fact, even the Secretary of Foreign Affairs, si Teddy Boy Locsin, during the cabinet, nakikialam kasi siya doon sa hindi niya linya, kaya binanatan din siya public. He was rebuked publicly. Yun ang ayaw ko sa kanya.
Yeah. So, but thank you for clarifying that. So, again, nothing personal
No,
against
nothing personal.
Attorney Harry
Kaya nga
Roque.
sabi ko, bumalik ka rito.
Oo. So,
Tulungan
ngayon
pa.
sasabihin mo na yung pangalan niya, hindi na Husi.
Sino siya?
Okay, final question. Sayang kulang na tayo sa time. Do you foresee any significant realignments in the political landscape, given what we saw in the midterm election?
Basta nakikita ko dyan. Alam nila, pag kumontra ka sa mga Duterte, may problema ka.
Short and sweet ang sagot. Thank you so much, Attorney Sal Panelo. It's always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
In a time of shifting alliances and rising tensions, Attorney Salvador Panelo believes that in Philippine politics, loyalty and strategy are constantly at war. As the nation braces for an impeachment trial and the possibility of a reconciliation in the offing, the battle lines are redrawn, though the fight is far from over. The next moves may not just shape legacies, they could define the future of power itself. Be timely informed, be insightful of the news. Always stay at the forefront. Join us again tomorrow for insights on issues that matter. And before I leave, I just want to thank Miss Catherine Kaibigan and her son for the flowers that you sent this morning. Thank you so much. It really made my day. This is Attorney Karen Jimeno. Thank you for spending your hour with us.